Chicago Bears fans, welcome back to the channel. Today's theme for the video, I think we can best really describe is the calm before the storm. Because, very light practice in day 3. And some of the things that we're seeing with a lot of teams who started in kind of that mid-period of the week, now ramping into it next week. And the landscape. I think the landscape plays a big part into this. Now, I understand our process is our process for each organization, but I think that a lot of teams are looking at and saying that Jalen Ramsey just went down, and it's not even like he's doing anything significant. They're not padded up. Joe Burrow just went down. They're not doing anything significant. They're not padded up. So we're looking at that. Naheem Hines, CJ Gardner-Johnson. I could go to so many guys and names, and we're getting nicked up, banged up. And I think that with a team, it's already 2 important players trying to ramp back up and get fully on track with the training camp schedule and back in the team period. So, and you know those guys, that's Darnell Mooney and Jack Sanborn. And when I talk about everything that I really came away with from week 1 of training camp, there's a couple things. Now, I think we all have to start, and you guys know what I'm about to say because I've said it in so many videos, and I can't do this one without saying it. For Josh Allen, it was Stephon Diggs. For Jalen Hurts, it was A.J. Brown. For Justin Fields, will it be DJ Moore? And right now, understand we're not padded up. So this is why when I look at things, I want to come to this with a calmness and being level-headed and talking about this news, because football is different with pads. We don't play football with shorts and t-shirts and all of that. So, but to this point, and it's been an OTA thing, it's been a mini camp thing, Justin Fields is clicking with DJ Moore. And when I was talking about this team, I said that I can tell and I can see there has been work behind the scenes. Now, I understand this is a guy who was acquired in a trade prior to the draft when they moved back from the #1 overall pick and got DJ Moore from Carolina. So now having him, and I can guarantee you, as soon as that move happened, Justin Fields said, okay, I got my guy now. We got to go to work. And even with, I think that the Carolina Panthers looking at their standpoint and trading DJ Moore, you say, why do you give up a #1? And it's that we see quarterbacks are so important in the NFL. I think that is what we can say by what we've seen this offseason, the past offseason, and what we see. Some teams are gearing up to get Caleb Williams. So understanding that and how aggressive they were. So sometimes to get something, you got to give up something. Now, getting back to DJ Moore, very special. And I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that deep threat. And if you guys want to check out my breakdown on DJ Moore, you can check that out after this video, because I have a breakdown talking about him, some of his strengths, some of his weaknesses. But I think the biggest thing is he's explosive and he hunts the football. So Justin Fields, and one thing I read up and I saw that when Justin Fields needs a play, when he's in a bind, he doesn't know what he wants to do, good coverage is being played by the defense, give it to Moore. And we all know the famous meme and quote with Patrick Mahomes when he had Tyreek Hill. Tyreek's down there somewhere. So I think DJ Moore is down there somewhere in the back of Justin Fields' mind, going through every play. Now, another key receiver that I'm seeing and that I have told you guys about, I tried to put you on his radar, and now I think he's getting closer on that radar as we see some of this football. Now, I do want to say Darnell Mooney hasn't really been truly involved in these team periods, so we're going to have to obviously see guys step up. Chase Claypool, a guy who's kind of, he's healthy right now, but we know Chase Claypool. We just got to make sure he stays healthy. And that guy's Tyler Scott, showcasing his speed. And I mean, he's an absolute burner. I said it when I talked about this team. I said a burner out of Cincinnati. And when looking at this receiving core, I felt like that was kind of a place that we could add, because I like Darnell Mooney. I like his route running. Now, of course, you added DJ Moore. He's a deep threat. He's more of a, I wouldn't say truly a complete receiver, but he's so good at what he's good at that it makes him special and it makes him that #1 type receiver. Now, when I talk about Tyler Scott, what he's been able to do so far, and even hearing, Coach Eberflus talk about Tyler Scott, the biggest thing that I saw, and with all rookies that you want to see, don't make the same mistake twice. If he drops a ball, if he doesn't get to the proper depth on a route, we'll understand now. We're talking with our guys, talking with the vets in the room, and that's the DJ Moore. Some of the other guys, a St. Brown, we're listening to those guys and understanding and saying, okay, I cannot make this mistake again. Okay, I got to do this a little differently. This may have worked in college. This may have worked. But when we get to the place now, we're in the NFL, it's a little different. And what I want to kind of caution people about, and this is why we have this video talking about some of the things from week 1 and going into week 2. Pause. Be prepared for some of these rookies to not really pop when the football pads come on, because understanding these are good players. They have been high, ranked high school recruits. They've been college standouts. But getting to the NFL and that ramped up pace with the pads on, think about it now. Gervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, they're going against Nate Davis. They're going against Tevin Jenkins. So it's going to be kind of that low period. And even Tyreek Stevenson, a guy who I'm really high on, he may have some lows in coverage. It's just a little different when the pads come on, but that's the adjustment period. I've heard a lot of coaches talk about it so far, is that if you're a rookie and you're going to make a mistake, if you're a linebacker, you're going to get trucked. If you're a corner, you're going to get beat. But make that mistake now. Make that mistake in preseason. So when we get to the season, we've already got all of the things that we need to get out of the way, and understanding now what are some of the mistakes, how can we not replicate some of these same mistakes, and then you hit the field running. So that's one thing I want to caution against and talk about before next week happens and the pads go on, because I know some people may overreact when they see some bad news about a particular rookie or a young guy in general who we saw. Now, that's a lot of talking about the offense. I've seen some of the things with the offensive line. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the offensive line till guys are padded up. You can't show me you're a great offensive lineman until you get hit in the mouth and you can still block a guy, or until you hit a guy in the mouth until he doesn't want to get hit in the mouth. So that's something I'm looking at. And with the defense, one of the guys that's been ringing in my ears that I've been seeing, and I know you guys have saw already, that's Daryl Lewis. Outside linebacker / edge / we know what the outside linebackers are really today, pure edge rushers. So now looking at him and what he brings to this scheme, I think it's pretty solid. And now, like I said, I do want to see if he continues on this pace and continues to do what he's doing, but he's flashing. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Daryl Lewis, and really an interesting guy, because when I talk about this team and how are they going to produce as far as sacks, because I think that there are some pretty solid players who are added, who are on this team, who are going to get better, who can defend against the run, do some other things. But where are the sack numbers really going to come from? Because we got to remember, last year, this was not a team that could get after the quarterback at an elite or even good level. So that's something that has to be improved. Ryan Poles, Allen Williams, all the guys have looked into that. And I think Daryl Lewis, if he continues to flash, could be an interesting guy for this team. So looking across the defensive line, pretty good guys. Like I said, in the trench warfare, with that trench work, we don't want to get worked up into that. We're really looking at our secondary, some of our skill positions. That can tell us a lot, because maybe receivers, corners, that stuff, it does translate to a certain extent. So I'm looking at what Tyler Scott's doing. I'm looking at that DJ Moore connection, because when the pads come on, okay, yeah, you maybe can get a little more physical with me, but we got those refs out there. You start holding, we're calling that. Now, last thing I want to touch on before I get out of here, going into week 2, some of the guys I'm looking at, Noah Sewell, coming out of Oregon, just another guy stepping up. And of course, I think that, Jack Sanborn trying to ramp it back up and get more healthy. But I look at Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, and I think that Tremaine Edmonds, the biggest thing that I saw with him and how he's been talking and approaching this offseason, I could go even take this to TJ Edwards, but the way that he's so concise in every little thing that he does and how he's helping these guys. And I think that he's already said he wants to be a part of that rebuild. He wants to be a part of that shift. He was a part of the shift in Buffalo. We have to remember that they did not get the job done there, but they had some really good teams for the Bills. And now coming on and taking on this new challenge, you're going into the middle of your career. You're just now hitting your prime. So we're expecting very good football out of Tremaine Edmonds. And I think the biggest thing is that he wants to be a guy who's in his prime, who's on a team, and he can say he contributed to the shift. So that's something I'm looking at with him, and how that this linebacker core, I could say out of a lot of cores that we have on this team, but I think the linebacking core is one of the more complete cores as far as, camaraderie and being together with the guys. Now, the secondary is the secondary. Chandler Johnson, and also had Pat Tillman out there, Peanut Pat Tillman, had him out there talking it up with him. And I mean, looking at the safeties, Jaquan Brisker, a guy who I'm expecting to break out, Eddie Jackson. Come on. I mean, when I say it, I think about one of the best safeties in football. That's regardless of team. Now, we got the Minka Fitzpatricks and we got the Justin Simmons, we got the Buda Bakers. There's a lot of guys, but Eddie Jackson he's kind of in that conversation. I think that fully healthy, he can reinsert himself into that conversation. Now, that's really wrapping it up. Just talking about some of the things that I see and where I'm kind of at right now with this team. Like I say, it's not a lot we can tell just yet, but some guys that have to be on the radar, some guys we have to look at. And I think that preseason is something I'm so excited for because all of the film breakdowns and all of the things that are to come. And just thinking about, we're really 2 weeks away from football. It may not be regular season football, and I understand that, you know, some of the starters we want to see may not be playing football, but it's still football. Ball is ball. And I mean, we got the Hall of Fame game next week, Green Bay versus Cleveland. So it's getting real. It is truly getting real. Right now as I record, this is July 28th. And the regular season, I believe, begins on the week of the 10th, or maybe because I think the Detroit Lions play the Kansas City Chiefs on the 5th. So we're right there. We're extremely close to this. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down below in the comments. Talking about the Chicago Bears, thoughts on training camp so far. Drop them. Thank you for watching today's episode. And now we out.